Now we come to the winner, and I'm joined in the studio by Robin Howlett, who produced Islands. First of all, let's talk about Young Animation. Produced presumably means you did the cartoon bit, but did you also do the soundtrack?
Yes, I had to do everything. For copyright reasons, you had to produce the whole film yourself. I had a lot of help from my technician, Ron Miller, who's the technician at Kingston Polytechnic, which is where I made the film, and he was invaluable. But we were allowed a technician, but apart from that, we had to do everything ourselves.
So it's a real labour of love. I also mentioned earlier on in the programme that it was actually a very difficult brief to contend with. How did you wrestle with the problem?
Well, it took me about 3 months to sit down and come up with a solution which I was happy with, because it was a brief which could be approached, as you pointed out before, either optimistically or pessimistically. And I wanted to try and approach it in a way which would enable the viewer to make up his own mind. And so in the film I tried to present both optimistic and pessimistic ways of using the pencil, which you'll see is representative of technology. And at the end of the film, I portrayed the Earth and rolled the pencil in from the side to try and give there's the Earth, there's your pencil, there's your technology. You do what you want to do with it.
Well, it obviously worked for the judges. We'll see in a moment if it works for the average viewer who looks at it and makes up his mind about it. But what sort of techniques did you use to make the film?
It was nearly all just a very soft crayon. I had very limited time. I only had 2 weeks to actually get all the artwork together for the film. So the whole thing had to be pre-planned very carefully. And I had to use a soft crayon because it was faster than anything else. If you use cell paint or markers, you have the trouble of it taking a long time to dry. And of course the soft pencil is done and it's just there.
Well, everything you've said so far, and in fact the film itself when we see it, gives an indication that you like controlling the medium very much. So I wonder if animation is the kind of direction you're going to go into professionally.
Well, I wouldn't mind going into animation, but I prefer going into film because I made about 3 films before, and Islands was the first opportunity I had to completely direct a film from beginning to end, and that's the bit I enjoyed more. You were telling a story, you were using the art form as a complete art form, and I found it very enjoyable because I've also worked on the stage and as a musician, and I found that it enabled me to control my art form completely, which I really enjoyed. So I prefer to go into film through the direction side of things.
Let me ask you, do you like Disney and all the classic kinds of cartoons that we associate with animation?
Yeah, I think that I like particular Disneys. I particularly like The Sword and the Stone, where his characterization of like Merlin and things like that, and the Archimedes, the little owl. So you
don't like exact photographic representations, so to speak?
No,
you like it with a little bit of style to it?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Any fans in animation? Anyone that you can actually put your finger on and say, that's the kind of person I would like to be as an animator?
Unfortunately, no, because I'm not terribly up on animation. But in film, I really enjoy, I like Ridley Scott's work because he's a really meticulous worker. Very, very careful about the way he places everything, and everything is so carefully planned. And that's the way that I would like to work eventually.
I've got this lovely idea of you in a studio, you see, as a little academic sort of plotting away and not wanting actors or anybody else to interfere with you. What are you doing at the moment?
At the moment, I'm working at Lodge Cheeseman, which is a specialist animation company in Soho. But I'm afraid after that, I'm unemployed.
Looking for a job.
Yeah.
And a ticket, presumably, as well. Have you ever entered an animation competition before?
No. I entered another animation of mine into Images, which is the very best of British illustration. And that's put out, it's an album which is put out every year. And luckily I managed to get Miami, which is another animation of mine, accepted into that. But apart from that, I've never had any other successes. But that isn't to say that Kingston hasn't had its fair share of successes, because it has.
Okay, that's very loyal of you. Let me ask you very quickly then about the music, because like all the films we've seen tonight, the soundtrack's almost as important as what's happening in front of your eyes. Did you do the music as well?
Yes, I had to write it and perform it, and we dug a new 4-track out at Kingston Polytechnic, and I had to, as I say, I had to compose it and play it, and it was a lot of fun.
It's very singer-songwriter stuff. I have an idea you may want to produce a record at some
I would
stage.
love to. I really would. Luckily, actually, I've had a bit of a lucky break. At the Polytechnic on the degree show day, a chap called Terry Brown came along, and he heard some of my, and he heard Islands, he liked the song, and he's going to use a couple of my songs on the new Spinners album.
It was a total success. And let's take a look now at the first prize winner, Islands.
Islands in the sea, we are but islands in a sea of what we dream. We are but dreams that hide within the greater scheme. We are but islands, or at least that's what we seem. Visitors in time, we are but visitors of some strange pantomime. We are but poets seeking out the perfect rhyme. We are but visitors and running out of time. Islands in the sea, we are but islands, and the sea will not run dry. It may look stormy, but it's just the stormy sky. And just beyond the storms there's hope for you, there's hope for you, there's hope for you, there's hope for you and I.
And it's a pretty song as well. Congratulations, Robin David Howlett, on winning with Islands.
Thank you.
Well done.